And with that, we start our show. I was really blown away by Lane Kiffin's press conference the other day. This is just yesterday, where Lane Kiffin went for 19 minutes. And I mean, maybe for a lot of people it wasn't a big deal. Maybe for some people they didn't, but I thought it was just brilliant. Um, the whole time. You literally have him starting off. I believe it was John Talty, who once reported that he went to Auburn, and he's absolutely just trolling him hard there. At least that's what it appears like. Kiffin's mocking his inside sources, all this stuff. Um, and so this show gets going, starting off on a very very interesting train here, train of thought here with Lane Kiffin. But it only gets better from there because he immediately talks about Big Rich Anderson, and what he says about Rich Anderson. That was incredible. That was incredible to hear, because very insightful to hear this coach basically. And I know Deuce Gerald's has been looking good too. So you can talk about both of these guys in this light, but he's basically saying that this kid is ready for the big time right here, right now. About Big Rich Anderson. This kid is ready right now. And maybe he's not going to start every game this season, or even play a lot of snaps. Maybe he doesn't play over 250, 300 snaps this season. Maybe he's under that. But I think, and from what I've seen, Lane Kiffin knows he has an absolute gem on his hands, and that Big Rich Anderson, you've got to play this kid. And it's just, he's a part of a new youth brigade here with LSU, of just top tier talent coming in, but just top tier character as well. You've got strong character as well. And that's what you want to and need to see. Need to see from a Tiger standpoint is that you're not only just going to build from, the transfer portal class, because you're not going to be able to spend $40 million every single season. Well, at least theoretically. But this idea that you can just abandon recruiting, high school recruiting altogether, and just focus on the portal and just band-aid your team year in year out. That's not it's not going to be ever what someone, a head coach does fully. He's always going to have to do a mix of both. Lane Kiffin understood that the second he took the LSU job. And what has he done? What has he done? He is absolutely taking care of both. So, loving what I'm seeing here. Loving what I'm seeing here from Lane Kiffin so far, but it just gets better. Man, I really want to be at that clinic. Hell yeah. Before we get into Marshall Falk, because that's a whole nother thing, did you ever hear Brian Kelly really talk like that about Louisiana high school football? And not just like we know the talent out of the state of Louisiana. He'd always kind of just say these like typical kind of emblematic political kind of things like the platitudes, the state of Louisiana, the talent state of Louisiana. I never heard Brian Kelly really go the coaching in the state of Louisiana, the football people in the state of Louisiana, and just that they're just different as well themselves. And you hear Kiffin, given that the business already, because he's been out and around and he's already visited so many of those high schools and he shook so many of those hands and any of those, he's probably known a lot of these figures from his prior gigs, but if he didn't, he's damn well gone and he's met them. Um, this has been a very smart, you know, considering Brian Kelly is known as the politician, you have Kiffin out politicianing, creating words here, Brian Kelly, and it's not because he's being a politician; it's because he actually gives a shit, and it's because he knows I have to build these relationships because we're going to help each other, the high school and LSU. And he understands how that works. And I love that he's not just the portal king, the transfer. He's actually understands the how critical it is to build through the high school ranks. And you're going to see that this season in comparison to last season, especially on defense, where you're going to have guys that you really desperately wish you had on defense last year. Big Rich Anderson, Deuce Gerald's, to name two. But then you got Lamar Brown coming in. That's going to be three. Uh, there is, and then of course you got the portal guys, but you've got these new freshman recruits, especially on the defensive line, Trenton Henderson, who can really make a big impact up front. You can at least say one or two of those guys is going to have a really banger season because they're just that talented and they just have that amount of size, strength, willpower, intensity, and mentality to maybe not carve out a starting spot as a true freshman, like whoa, whoa, whoa. But as far as defensive line depth, there's a chance here for snaps because I don't see any defensive tackles on this roster who are like certified starter. Maybe Dominic McKinley. Maybe you can make that. Maybe you can make that argument that Dominic McKinley, that guy's a starter. But we have to see it from Dominic McKinley too, and we haven't fully seen it from Dominic McKinley for a full season. And maybe he hasn't. You could argue he hasn't had the ability to show that. But with all that talent and some veteran experience on the edges with Prince Will, obviously going to be a starter, and Jordan Ross, Jalen Brown's two guys who are younger, but still at least have more experience than true freshmen at defensive tackle. But maybe you have McKinley and then Anderson, McKinley and then Gerald's, McKinley. You make that switch. I think that'd be very interesting. The Ricky Prohl game. And Lane Kiffin's father was Monty Kiffin, defensive coordinator for the Buccaneers. Buccaneers beat Washington in the second round in that crazy 14-13 game, and then they beat the Rams like 11-6. He gets close to the score, I think. Let's look that up. See what the score actually was. That's such a cool story because then he goes into the fact that Jamarcus Russell was on campus, was on the Ponderosa field watching practice. My God, I am so I am so envious to have been there. I was that on a media day? Was the media actually allowed in that day? Or is that on another day? Maybe it was the day the media was in, but for anyone who was there, if the media were allowed, you guys are lucky for being there. That's awesome. And that's what I love about LSU is there's so many legends, so many, and not just the household names, but the guys that we as diehards are like, that's my guy. You know, like an Eddie Kennison. It's not like you say his name and people are gonna be like, "Oh yes, Eddie Kennison." Every single football fan's gonna know that name. Probably not, but LSU Tiger fans damn well know that name. Wendell Davis. You know these type of figures. Um, and Jamarcus Russell has been called the biggest NFL bust of all time. All this stuff, you know. But we can take that context and put it to the side. Even the fact that Lane Kiffin was coaching him in the NFL, the youngest coach in NFL history. But Jamarcus, what he meant to LSU was far. I mean, it's a special legacy, and it's something that I love to see Jamarcus come back and embrace more often because he was revered as a Tiger. I remember those times like it was yesterday. Jamarcus Russell was a super freakish of a like absolute dynamic talent. And there were people who wanted him to start as a freshman in 2003. And you know, this is a guy who easily could have left LSU with two, maybe even three championship rings. And he would have at least left with two had he stayed for his senior season, like Matt Flynn did. You know, Matt Flynn came in there with Jamarcus. He wins one as part of that '03 team, and then wins another one in '07 as the starter, starting every game except for the SEC title game, um, which we know is the Ryan Perrilloux game. But Jamarcus Russell, man, what he did at LSU and what a lot of people tend to forget that Jamarcus Russell did at LSU cannot be overstated. What a super freak talent that dude was. And I know all that happened and all that caused the unraveling of that. And we can talk about that, but you know, it doesn't matter because to us right in this moment, thinking about Jamarcus Russell and what he meant to us as LSU Tigers was that dude is a legend. And just a what if, not because of what he did or didn't do on the field. There's some of that with '05 and stuff, and a little bit of '06, some moments there. That team probably should have been winning a national championship, not Florida. But you feel like he just does not get the dues that maybe he deserves as an LSU Tiger and what he accomplished. And so it's cool to see him back with Kiffin. Um, uh, and he's taken in LSU practices, and I don't know what that means for Jamarcus and what he will, how long his orbit will be around the LSU Tigers program. But I hope it's for a extended period of time, and he stays involved with the Tigers because man, we need these Tiger alums, involved. And in fact, there's a few Tigers who are really scared to go by themselves to LSU, and I'm gonna talk with certain people and kind of see what's up, and they want me to kind of help them into LSU ops and kind of escort them into a moment of ease. And it's like I think they'll understand very quickly that hey, everybody you trusted before is probably still here. Like they didn't fire anybody. Like a lot of these people in the athletic department are still there. So I think they'll be very calm very quickly. But there's a few people, few former Tigers who they're a little worried going into it. But I think they're gonna understand that this is something Kiffin is embracing big time, and it doesn't matter what the Tiger accomplished, how big or small. He's taking photos with all and making it a huge deal of this Tiger legend is here. Is that Kiffin doing Blue Steel? Is that Kiffin doing Blue Steel? Did Lane Kiffin just do Blue Steel? I think so. Oh my God, Kiffin, what a badass! Like this is gonna be awesome. His face. He's like, "Oh, you're. I'm gonna rip your fucking larynx out." Okay, whoa, 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 whoa. And maybe you've heard some of your other favorite podcasts discuss this. Maybe you heard some other people discuss this, but this is my take on this. Lane Kiffin just said, right now we would be a defensive football team. A defensive football team. Given the fact that you are having two backup quarterbacks starting, right, with the first team against a fully loaded, except for Whit Weeks, defense, and behind Whit Weeks, you still have tons of talent with Devon Keys, who's looked really good throughout springs. And then you got TJ Dottery in there as well through the portal, who's, just a voluminous tackler. So a tackling turbine, a human tackling turbine. And you've got these two guys who can cover with Whit Weeks out, which we've reported on just barely. LSU Odyssey reported that. We'll get that on the screen right now. Just barely put out some breaking news from a source very close to the situation. I hate using that word source, but because this is a person I absolutely love, but like a source of information, absolutely they were. Just a simple question, what's going on with Whit? Because I I was wondering why he wasn't at practice because he's always so involved with everything going on with his team. Whit Weeks cares so much about LSU being a Tiger, his teammates, and what everything's going on with them and how they're doing, and he's such a leader. Okay, and this kid, you knew he was coming back to LSU. Anyone who doubted that he was going to come back to LSU was a fool, in my opinion. But we broke the news just barely that Whit Weeks, just like Sam Levitt, actually had an operation on the ankle. So, like, he's been absent from practices the last few times. And so you're thinking, even though he was a non-participant in the team drills coming off that injury-ravaged 2025, where the first half of that season, Whit Weeks is a pressure animal. He is like destroying whether it's Clemson, Cade Klubnik's Clemson, right out of the gates. He's absolutely owning their backfield, or Lenore Sellers shutting him down. And then the Ole Miss game, and you've got some injury issues from that game on. And he's out the rest of the season basically, except for that moment where he comes out and he's able to play with all three of his brothers. Sorry, all three Weeks brothers, his other two brothers, all together on the field at the same time. Very, very cool moment, very powerful moment. And you knew there was going to be a type of operation in the offseason. Our reporting has indicated that Whit Weeks had an operation in January on that ankle. And then just barely, only days ago, Whit Weeks had another operation, this time to remove the scar tissue in his ankle. So that's the news that we have, that he's likely not going to be taking part in any team drills throughout spring. And that's not going to surprise anybody, but that's pretty much confirmed at this point. However, it is interesting to note that Whit Weeks he's not going to be in a boot sitting around playing, and I was about to say Nintendo, but that's not people playing some weird PlayStation 9 or whatever it is nowadays. Whit is actually going to be like desperate to get back out there with his team just next week. That is what we're hearing as well. So very, Whit Weeks is such an important component of this defense, and I don't think anyone understands really quite how much of an impact the loss of Whit Weeks was felt last year on that defensive slide over those 3 games that we lost in the middle of the season, where you just Alabama A&M just getting swallowed up. Same thing with 2024, where you lost certain key guys on defense, and it was basically Whit Weeks and 10 guys trying to be the defense, and it was never going to be enough. Now you had the flip side with Weeks out, and you could just you felt the loss of that sideline to sideline speed. And so it's fantastic that time is on his side. He's in the final stages of this recovery. And though he's had an operation here to remove the scar tissue, this is something that was expected. And he's going to be good for He's going to be good for summer workouts, it looks, and for fall camp. That hasn't been 100% confirmed, but you would anticipate seeing him out as a non-team drill participant, but still out there participating with his teammates in practices, that you would think this will continue this trajectory and he will be on the path to recovery and be fine. But we will see how this recovery continues and hope that Witt can navigate this operation that he's had here, navigate the last part of this recovery, and start for LSU whole season this next year, because damn it, we're going to need him, man. We are going to need him. Okay, guys. You know what? Let's see here. Let's get into the film. Got so many damn windows open. um, of course, as you know, this is film from the Verdon verdict. Ah, Winnie Watkins once again. Landon Clark dropping back. Bullet over the middle on Deshaun Spears. Winnie Watkins beats Deshaun Spears there. I mean, Spears obviously in the game would have tackled him, but okay, let's look at the defensive lineup here. This is very interesting. Okay, you got Prince Will. You got Daughtery, Ty Benefield. I saw Deuce Gerald's, Davon Keys. Davon Keys, ooh, look at this. Davon Keys gets that defensive line to realign. Ooh, watch how Benefield anticipates this whole thing, guys. Benefield is kind of, it looks like Benefield's out of the play. It looks like he's not even going to be anywhere near this play with Landon Clark right here keeping the football. But watch how Benefield closes this thing down. I mean, okay. I think we're going to have no problem replacing what AJ Halsey provided for this defense last year, guys. This dude is sick. We also gave you a bunch of information with LSU spring practice info, just that we put on the site last night. In the middle of the night, we posted it so that you could wake up in the morning and have this just long list of just one nugget after another about LSU spring practices. And, we thought about even more, because it's just everything that comes to our head. Oh, yeah, we saw this. Oh, yeah, this came to our mind. Oh, yeah, Kiffin pointed out this. Oh, yeah, this information came to us. Oh, yeah, this. We saw film of that or this and that. Like those type of things, when they pop in our, we just keep updating it and updating it. So make sure to refresh those type of things. Those when we do those notes or info dumps. Let's get this into a solo layout so we can get the screen bigger. There we go. So you already have a high caliber chance that you're going to have Deuce Gerald's there in a starting lineup. And who else do we got here? We got Prince Will. 47. I remember seeing this name before, and I'm trying to. There's Caden Durham, and I've been hearing Caden Durham has been having a great slate of practices here. Ones that the media has been to, some that the media haven't been to. And you can see right there, he just makes some guys miss. Ty Benefield probably makes that tackle, but he can't tackle him, so he kind of lets him go. That's Malik Blockton, number 47 is Malik Blockton, the former Auburn guy. So he's in here at defensive tackle with Deuce Gerald's, Prince Will, number 1 over here, and then Jordan Ross, I believe, number 29. Yeah, Jordan Ross. So Ross, Gerald's, Blockton, Prince Will, PJ Woodland at corner, Deshaun Spears at looks like star, Devon Keys and Daughtery at linebacker, Benefield at safety, and probably Pickett on the other wing. We haven't been able to see him so far. Here comes Caden Durham again. There's Cooley as well at safety. Okay, I've just been hearing, guys, that Caden Durham has been showing off that burst that he used to have. Look at him make this guy miss right here in the gaps. Who's that trying to make that tackle? That's Daughtery. Does Daughtery really miss him, or is that something that Daughtery probably make that play? It's hard to tell. I think Daughtery actually misses him a bit there. But sometimes when you're practicing it, we can't really fully hit you type of mode. Sometimes it makes you pull off, and I never liked that. There's been, for all of the talk of Landon Clark being really good as a passer, as someone who has a cannon for an arm, all those type of hyperboles, and I believe it, and I have been a part of spreading that Landon Clark propaganda. Man, there's also some wasted plays. And there's also some just errant throws and some plays that are like, what the hell was that? Okay, so this pass gets swatted by Jordan Ross, coming all the way over from his edge spot, circling around down. Oh God. Oh man, this is a terrifying ad. Oh my 90s chic. What is going on here? Okay. Philip Wright the third. Oh, I thought he was about to make another one-hander there. This receiving core, guys. This receiving core could be electric. There's Jabari Mack, number 86. Number 3, Eugene Wilson. Number 4, Jackson Harris. Number 83, Tyree Halloway. 15, Philip Wright the third, as we talked about. 85, I believe that's Malik Elzy. Oh, no, Malik Elzy's 88. There's number 2, Trey Brown. You can read his profile. A lot of these receivers have profiles written at LSUODYSSEY.com already. There's Malik Elzy. Man, he's just got length. He's only like 6'2", 6'3", but he's just got length. Roman Mothershed, huge, and making some big catches lately too. There's Winnie Watkins there, number 6. There's so many of these guys who Jace Brown, number 1, is someone who I'm really liking his flow. I'm really thinking he could be a superb starting player for LSU. Even as just contributor off the bench, but man, this is a dude you can be using in jet sweeps, just anything across the formation. Any type of play that Charlie Weiss and Lane Kiffin can draw up with using him in or Trey Wilson in these Percy Harvin-esque um, ways, man, they could really set a defense alight, set them on fire. This receiving core could really break the will of a lot of defenses. It's just can you can you utilize this correctly? Can you utilize this receiving core correctly? Because you have a lot of weapons here, and we're not even talking. We haven't even discussed Trey Des Green yet. 6'7", 11 red zone touchdowns. He's almost unstoppable inside the red zone. You have a lot of weapons here, and you better be throwing across the middle of the field. You better be exploiting all the yards after catch potential, the just absolute potential of just sheer volume of yardage over the middle from these guys, playmakers after the catch. Some of these guys, differing profile bodies. You got speed demons, you got burners, you got guys who are more possession receivers, can beat you with the stamina and the strength, beat you with, a hard-nosed iron will to make the tough catches. But then you also got these guys who are skyscraping, towering aerial assassins, guys who cannot be covered. But mostly, when I look at every profile, as different as they may be from one another, there's one common denominator. Throw the fucking ball over the middle. Hit these guys in space, in stride, with yards and an area to run into, guys to make miss, and you're going to set it off. You're going to set it off. Set it off in this mother. Set it off in this mother hoochie. Ooh. Once again, this is filmed by our brother Jacob Verdon at the Verdenberg. Absolutely fucking love this dude. He's a hustler, man. This guy, Jacob Verdon, um, one of these days he's gonna be doing this full time and with his stuff in on prime time because I love I love the way he operates the lens. I just do. There's something cinematic in it, but he's able to frame and capture not only the information we're all wanting and looking for, the visual information we're all wanting to see. Harlem Berry getting the football there. Okay, you wanted to see okay, is that okay? It's Landon Clark. Okay, now you got Email Picarella in there. You've got all the information there, but you also have a beauty to it from how Jacob Verdon films it. So thank you very much for allowing us to utilize your footage, Jacob, and keep filming, man. Keep going because you've got a special talent, brother. There's Malik Blockton again. Defensive line room. That was an area where Kiffin said that they lack depth at. And where's the one position I have told you? Where I have consistently said these inside positions I'm worried about. Defensive tackle and offensive guard / center. Like that, I'm not worried about Braylon Moore. I'm worried about keeping him healthy and then being able being able to God, these stupid ads. Being able to keep not only Braylon Moore healthy, but then how do you replace him? Well, thank God we don't have DJ Chester anymore. We do have William Satterwhite, who is the backup center. It has appeared. He can also play guard as well. Sorry about my voice. That was horrifying. Paul Tarver says, Landon's trainer from Miami is a fab interview. Hope you can get him for spring camp. If not, Shirley in fall. Yes, I saw that Carter the Power did an interview with him. And so, I mean, I could study that interview and try and ask him different questions or whatever. But yeah, that'd be a cool interview to get. We're trying to get as many as we possibly can right now. Um, and so I bring anybody in who is connected to the program. We're trying to get we're putting out all those those interview requests. We're trying to ask to get as many players in here as possible, like we always do. And Brian Kelly just straight up stiffed us. Just said no. I don't know what bothered him, but after we did an interview with Whit Weeks, it was no more. He just refused. He would not allow us to do that ever again, to have any part of interviewing his players ever again. So that really sucked because we did it, as you know, Paul. We interviewed mostly like the whole team. Like we interviewed everybody, not just in podcast form, but also in articles. So like if you go on our site, you'll see the exclusive interviews tab. You're gonna see maybe interviews you didn't even think that we did. Um, because you didn't see them on the podcast here. Like probably didn't know we interviewed Malik Neighbors multiple times. It's right there on the site. But in written mode, we interviewed his mother, but Malik was very interview shy even then. Um, there's plenty more that aren't coming to my mind right now, but I love the DBs right here, man. Paul, I don't know what you think about our defense going into this season, but brother, I have a feeling that this is gonna be this is gonna be a really good defense. You keep these guys healthy, man. You're able to rely on the depth that you have at the back end, and maybe say a couple of these true freshmen absolutely have a breakout, absolutely have a dominant season. And then of course, as we've said before, you really want to make sure that you have that pass rushing intent. That you haven't LSU have had zero pass rushing killer intent, pass rushing like killer instinct. Haven't had it in years. And you can even include 2019 in that equation. LSU have not had that killer instinct as a pass rushing unit for a long time. Probably since Arden Key left the school. Devin White and Arden Key left the school. Devin White in 2018, then Arden Key in 2017. So since those guys left, you haven't had that killer instinct, that killer intent from your defensive line or your edge rushers. You've had some strong individuals over the years, but you've never had a collective unit that has balled the fuck out in years. And Paul, I think when you look at this defensive line, if you can keep this defensive line healthy, that is the key. And your freshmen really come good. And you can trust these guys. You can trust even just two of them. Say it's just Big Rich Anderson and Deuce Geralds, who are the only two who really come on in their year one. It's not Lamar Brown or Trenton Henderson, but it's those first two. Man, I have a whole different feeling then about the defensive front if you can get some solid, successful seasons out of those two freshmen, especially at a spot like defensive tackle where, Dominic McKinley, Malik Blockton, okay, that looks like a very intriguing starting defensive tackle tandem. But what would really spice it up is if you can rotate in playmakers like Deuce Geralds, like Big Rich Anderson, who have the size, strength, stamina, capabilities to really go in there and disrupt and get the push up front. the push up front that LSU just cannot seem to generate or sustain. 14.5 sacks for LSU's pass rushers and defensive line as an entire unit. Just 14.5. And then LSU as a defense last year, when they're a top 20 defense, right? LSU's defense only had 27 sacks last season. That's 5 fewer sacks than the Matt House 2023 defense that everyone shits upon, and rightly so. But facts are facts. LSU lit up the pressure book. I mean, LSU had 44 pressures on Lenore Sellers against South Carolina. 44 pressures, according to Pro Football Focus. And LSU only had 5 sacks. Theoretically, I mean, that's like a 10-sack game or something, and that's like still like, I understand sacks are hard to get, especially against a guy like Lenore Sellers. And 5 sacks against any quarterback is a good game, right? 44 pressures, only 5 sacks. And that's not even close to the worst ratio. So many bad ratios of just unbelievable pressure, but you cannot finish them with sacks. And here's the problem. Early in the season, that was okay because those pressures would force incompletions. Those pressures would force, intentional grounding calls or holding calls. Those pressures would cause just bad plays that would get stuffed and the ball would get turned over. But then LSU's offense kept giving it right back, and people got injured because of playing 80 plays a game and all this stuff. And by midway through the season, you're not finishing sacks. And now, because you're a little bit more exhausted than you were a month ago, and you're just feeling a little bit down because of the losses, now there's windows downfield to hit. Now there's space for that quarterback to run into. And the quarterback doesn't need to be Michael Vick. He doesn't need to be, flying around, absolute dual threat Jaden Daniels. He can just be a guy who has legs. And if he has space to run into and it's wide open, he's going to take it. And there's 10 easy yards and a first down. And a back-breaking play against our defense that we've seen way too often over this last post-2019 era. And I think this season, you've continued in this strong trajectory of your defenses getting better. 2024 was miles better than 2023. Like, since you went off the cliff and down into the toilet, your head was submerged into the porta potty, your mouth full of the fecal matter, the sauce of death just coming out of the butt. I mean, up the nose, chipotle in your eyes, the stinging, burning pain and agony of the porta potty juices into your corneas. This reality, it you do not have to deal with this. You do not have to accept this. LSU can have a top defense. You improved it in 2024. It was miles. It was like eating at Burger King in 2023 compared to eating at like Rodizio Grill in 2024. It was like, okay, we're going places here. This is miles better in 2024. And then 2025, you go to that Michelin 5-star in like France or something. You're like, okay, this is really good. And then at the end of the dinner, when you're about to have dessert, then someone takes a shit right in the pudding. Okay, so that's how 2025 would have ended. Now in 2026, it seems like you're gonna be able to eat possibly at 2 different Michelin 5-star restaurants at the same time. You're on the Italian Mediterranean. You're eating all this olive oil. You feel amazing. You're drinking all this wine. You're getting stoned with this random Italian disc jockey who's walking around going, Francesco Totti. And you don't know what you're even doing in Italy, but you just love what's going on. That is what we're looking for. That is what 2026 LSU defense could be. Passion, intensity, fire, depth, 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 depth. And it's maybe not in every single position group. You're going to not have that depth on the defensive line interior. You're just not. You have it to some extent on the defensive edge and pass rushing spots. With the loss of Gabe Relaford, that made me feel a little bit different about that. I got to be honest with you, because that's a guy where it's like veteran. You really like what you've got from him. All this stuff is great. Starting experience, coming back from the injury, he's looking solid. All this is great. And then that happens to him, and things look a little more thin because now, Prince Will, 9.5 sacks, 13 TFLs, taking a team to the semifinals of the CFP as a big leader of that defense. He's going to start for us. But Jordan Ross, Jalen Brown, these two guys don't have much experience. They're both redshirt freshmen. Or sorry. I believe one is a redshirt freshman and one is a sophomore. My bad. It's just not a big enough sample size. And so if you really look at this defensive line, like there is talent there. There is depth to some degree there. There is also, you're one more injury away from being in a almost panic on that defensive line because sure, there's some grade A talents there everywhere you look. But it's just stay healthy. My God, the Gabe Relaford torn ACL was such bad news, I think, for this defensive line because Gabe Relaford was such an equalizer as far as that guy's a veteran. That guy's used to start games for LSU. He's coming back. He's hungry. Him being there, maybe offsetting Prince Will's, nonstop pass rushing exploits. And then you got Gabe Relaford being more of a run stuffer, of kind of read and react, contain type of edge guy. You had the best of both worlds there. That was weird. With him gone, and now you've got a couple really young guys on the edge there. I know I'm forgetting a few other people on the edge here. I know I'm forgetting somebody, and it's going to piss me off later when I watch this. I'm going to be like, man, you forgot this edge rusher or that. Defense. Oh, yeah, defensive tackle, Steffel Green from Clemson. That dude is someone who could be a starter. That's a name I got mad at myself for getting him the last time because I watched film on him, and I'm like, damn, this dude is damn good. The film I had been able to really watch on him was when he played against LSU last year, which coincidentally was the game he had the most tackles in last season with 6. But he was really good against us last season. Stuffed some big plays. But his spring tape so far has been very impressive. Very impressive. Paul Tarver says, I sense this year's defense is just different. He says, I agree. Healthy dudes bodes well for a top 20 or better ranking. I mean, here's the thing. You had a top 20 defense last year that was unhealthy. You didn't have Whit Weeks. Harold Perkins was kind of out of sorts most of the season, didn't play up to his optimum, whether he was healthy or not. You were missing a few other guys. I'm trying to remember who else got hurt over the course of the season, but it was a few different guys. Oh yeah, Gabe Relaford, he broke his arm out for the season as well. So you're missing some big guys. Whit Weeks, West Weeks, kind of back and forth, one or the other. West was in there for most of the year though, but you only got half a season out of Whit Weeks, sadly. That defense could have been top 10, top 5 if those guys are there. So now you look at this defense, they've potentially upgraded on the defensive front, while at the same time, not maybe you're not thinner, but there's so much unknown. There's so much that's unproven. There's so much still to figure out. Um, and we hope they will. We hope they'll kind of find sense with the right defensive front balance there. Any questions, guys? I see that we've got a bunch in here. We got a bunch on Instagram watching. We got a bunch on Facebook watching. We're streaming to a bunch of different places at the same time. Twitter, we got. If you all are on Facebook, we have our new page as well. We have a new page on Facebook. Just type in LSU Odyssey on the search bar. You'll find us. It looks like we're starting to build up the follower count. Yeah, hell yeah. But we're gonna be posting everything there, just like we post everything on the Twitter. Follow us on the Twitter account. Remember, our if you followed us on our last Twitter account and you don't go there often, our last Twitter account was suspended for some retarded reason. I shouldn't say that. For some ridiculous reason. If you followed us before on that last account but didn't know that that was going on, follow us on the new account because it helps us so much with the algorithm. It helps us so much with all this stuff getting seen. Um, we just put out some breaking news just barely that no other media had access to information. No other media had access to. If you want that type of stuff, and we're going to be trying to deliver more of that and try and make this the juggernaut it should be. Follow us there on X at LSU Odyssey, on Instagram at LSU Odyssey Lawn. And then, of course, subscribe here to this channel on YouTube. Press the like button. I mean, we don't ask this. We barely ask this any show. We hardly ever ask this of you guys, but if you could, that would be amazing. Please help us out there. Press the like buttons, press that subscribe button, press the notification bell. It really helps us out a lot. We don't ask for much. We don't ask for much. Oh, no one touch. Sorry, it just came in my head, that Ringo Starr classic. It don't come easy. What a song. Um, that George Harrison guitar part with the Leslie speaker. Oh, I love that. I always hook up my chorus pedal and try and emulate that sound with my on my guitar. But yes, follow us at those links below. We always have those things linked, whether you're on our YouTube channel, whether you're looking at things on our Facebook or our Instagram or our Twitter or on LSUODYSSEY.com. We try and link all of these things together. Definitely check out LSUOdyssey.com. We have had some issue with our ads in the past, and we are now in the process of removing that. And so the site has already improved greatly for the people. And it was something that I was unaware of. And finally, it was brought to my attention. And finally, I was like, oh, God, yes. And let's take care of this thing. And we've done just that. The site looks better. It feels better. It works better. And we're just going to keep trying to make that a better experience for you guys because, I mean, you guys are the best fan base in the country. You deserve the best. And so we're going to try and provide that any way we can. We're just a one-man show out of Salt Lake, right? So anytime we want to go to LSU, we have to get on a plane. But man, anytime I can afford it, I've got a briefcase a little carry-on suitcase filled with stuff, my suits and stuff. I am ready to go at any time to do this full time, nonstop. Just hoping we can keep working hard and hopefully the right people will align themselves with LSU Odyssey and we can take this thing to the next step. Um, we are in the process of talking to a few big time guests that should be coming on the show in the next week. I won't tell you who. I will tell you this. There are multiple very controversial former Tigers. And then there are a couple current people, I won't say who, around the program right now, who I'm really hoping, really hoping, praying that we can get them on the show because I think it would be not saying that I'm the best interviewer or I'm the best person to interview them or anything, but I think I'm in a unique position to interview a few of these players that I've been putting out interview requests for. A few of these certain people. I think I'm just in a very interesting, unique spot to ask them questions that maybe others would ask in a more judgmental tone or a more sly, try and get the clickbait answer type of tone. Whereas I'm genuinely curious. I'm genuinely pursuing the truth. And I genuinely, hey, whether I'm right or wrong, I love to learn. And if I'm wrong, usually you're learning if you're wrong. So, I have no problem admitting when we're wrong. And people have given us shit for being right, and they've given us shit for admitting when we're wrong. So I mean, like, we can't win with some of these people. So we just, we hope people will see what we do and maybe they'll jump on board the train and like it. And if they don't, that's okay too. LSU Hyper Ninja 9 says quarterback question. What's up, brother? He says, I know Sam Levitt's health is very important and he is our guy leader of this team, but the future of Landon Clark is going to surprise some people. Hey man, he's still a bit raw, but man oh man does he have an arm. Man oh man does he have command where he's operating an offense, you just have a good feeling. Here's the thing though. There are some big breakdowns when I've seen him out there. Just complete play breakdowns, miscommunications between him and the receivers, miscommunications in the backfield. I've seen a lot of protection issues when he's been out there, whereas with some of the other quarterbacks, maybe that hasn't happened as much. So I want to buy his stock big time. Okay. And I'm going to because I want him to stay. I've actually reached out to Landon and said, "Man, you're so impressive. You belong here. We want you to stay here." Like just because I'm in my head, I'm thinking, Sam Levitt might stay here 2 years, and he could start 2 years. He has the eligibility to. So you want to make him understand that he belongs, and we want him to stay because it's going to require patience and sticking it out on Landon Clark's part because let's not forget there's another player in the equation here. Houston Longstreet, who looks pretty damn good too. And Houston Longstreet, by the way, he looks unbelievable with his passing arm. Is he a dual threat quarterback? Can he do all that? I don't know. But his passing arm looks unreal. He looks very accurate, very sharp, quick release, mechanically just on the mark. But both these guys are raw compared to Levitt. And they haven't done what Levitt's done. What Levitt's done is special. He took an Arizona State team, took them to the college football playoff, and they almost beat Texas in double overtime. A Texas team that went to the college football playoff Final Four, won the Big 12 championship as well. And then he was they lost 2 games already this last season before his injury, but who knows what he could have salvaged. LSU Hyper Ninja 9 says, I really want Levitt to stay 2 years if he can. I think a lot of us do. Because maybe due to that injury and stuff, maybe year one doesn't go the way we all thought it would or the way he hoped it would. That could be possible. That could happen. It could happen where you don't see Sam Levitt like we thought we would see him. And maybe it takes him a year to get that dual threat leg action back, that burst of speed back. And maybe he's more of just a calm passing quarterback. And so it limits what he can do to really erase a defense. Because if you just have him back there passing the ball, he can't really much run. It's almost like you're neutering the dude because he has to, by nature of throwing the football, even then, use the legs to escape away from pressure in the backfield, replatform, reset, uncork it down the field. Like those are his best plays too. The comeback routes, the secondary routes, those are big plays for him. And so this is a guy who you really want to see him start for LSU as long as we possibly can have him because I think he has the experience and the know-how to really navigate a modern RPO dual threat Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weiss offense. Just like we saw Trinidad Chambliss do, two great, unbelievable success where Trinidad Chambliss, had he gone out in the draft, would have been the first quarterback taken in this draft. So, any other questions from anybody before we close out here? My daughter and my boy about to be dropped back at home from grandma's. It's weird. My God, my legs are so brutally sore from these workouts I've been doing, guys. Oh, it feels like soccer from back in the day. Like my calves, my thighs, I mean, the amount of running and like jogging and walking and just intensive leg exercising that we've been doing it's so it feels so good, but it feels so brutal too. That soreness is intense. We've been doing the weightlifting as well, and we're starting to feel it in the chest, in the upper body, in the shoulders, where it's like you're starting to feel the cut of all of it, and it's starting to feel really good. And so, I want to personally thank my friend and LSU legend LaRon Landry, my personal friend LaRon, who said, "Bro, this is how you do it. This is how I did it." And his workout regimen is crazy. And I'm not able to get up to his level of doing it, but we're able to do it on our level and what is possible and capable for us to do. And man, we're we weren't really like a hardcore former athlete. I played up until high school, but um just the body gets so beat up as a parent with 2 kids. A 3-year-old is just he's so active and wild, and parents will know what I mean. Your body literally gets beat to shit by these kids. It's crazy. All the flying around and rushing. And so trying to recover from that, I was just kind of resting and just writing a lot and recording a lot and doing all this LSU Odyssey stuff, but I wasn't actually like taking care of myself physically. And so I started to gain a little bit of weight, and I might go to the doctor and I get weighed, and I'm like, oh my God, holy shit, I put on this much weight. What the hell is going on with me? And I was smoking way too many cigarettes. Um, and I had started to wean down from my smoking, but I was starting to smoke like entire packs, like at night. Like I would be out there writing for so long. I have a few book projects that I'm working on too, at all times, not just the site. And so I'm constantly writing these things. And so I'd just be out there having a cigarette after cigarette after cigarette after cigarette, even after long after Chelsea had gone to bed. I'd still just be out there hanging out. You know, I'd go to bed with Chelsea, and then after a while, we're both asleep, baby and boy still asleep. I'd kind of sneak out and go have some more cigarettes and just keep writing like crazy and just workaholic. I've stopped doing that. Not the writing part, the workaholic part. I think we're getting even more done now, actually. But we've really cut back on the cigarettes, back to where we were before the binging. So just cutting back, cutting back, cutting back, cutting back, and we're getting close to like right now. Haven't had a single cigarette today, and that's common for us usually. That's kind of usually what we do, but it's at night when we catch up, and so um, we're just going through a lot of these health rejuvenation uh, changes, and it feels so good. And at the same time, we're very, very sore. My ass, my legs, I'm sitting there the whole time doing this show, like I'm sitting here, but I'm in pain. Like, what is this shit? Like, oh my God. Like I was at an angle where it was just so crazily sore and just lighting my body up. But guys, I feel so good, and thank you all for your encouragement online to keep going with it. And I really appreciate y'all. You guys are amazing. I don't even know how I can smile today after what I saw from Barca. Good God, what a horrifying game it was against Atletico Madrid. Terrible, terrible game. Um, Last question. LSU Hyper Ninja 9 says Levitt best case should be good by late August. Your thoughts? No, he should be ready to start fall camp 100%. Like, that's not a question. He should be ready to start fall camp 100%. And if he's not, then something's not working out here, and he's not fully recovering or something. Like he should be ready. He should be able to start fall camp, no problems. Day one of fall camp. It should not take until late August, because then we got a quarterback who hasn't really practiced with the team, and we're about to start week one, and it's almost like the reverse situation of Garrett Nussmeier, where maybe it starts badly because of the no practice, but we continue to go along okay because of he's not injured, at least like Nuss was last year. But you're still going to be losing games with the lack of preparation. So it's been great to see that Levitt has participated to some degree, but we really need to make sure that we take care of this dude and make sure he comes back 100%, because this guy could be so explosive and so electric for this offense. No, oh, no problem, man. I mean, it should not be a nick of time type of thing. This should be he's ready for summer workouts, and he's running, and they're going to show all these photos online of him looking all sweaty and looking like he's exercising and running his ass off, because they would want to highlight it like the look, our guy's back and he's fine. He's running around. And you saw Levitt doing some running. You saw Levitt do some quarterback keeper little drills, soft little runs during these last few practices, and I flipped out. I'm like, don't do that, don't do that. And so I'm kind of glad for that reason that he's kind of taken out of the firing line for at least for that sake. But yeah, guys, thank you all for watching the show. There's a lot of you watching the show. Next time, I hope we can see a lot more of you guys commenting and posting what you have to say, because when you guys say something and you want, it's your chance to dictate the show. It's your chance to send me down a rabbit hole of LSU madness. And that's one of your own making, of your own design. That's something that you can do, and I will let you do it, and no other show will allow that. We will allow that. So this is a show where if you want to take us down a wild rabbit hole about Marcus Spears in that 2003 season, should he have played tight end? Should whatever your thought process or your question might be, we will go down it and explore it to its fullest and from every possible avenue. And if I don't know, I will say I don't know. And you know, if I don't know, then I'll take further education from you, um, the listener and the viewer, because you guys, as Tiger fans, my God, you guys are unbelievable wealth of knowledge about this team and this program in this state. Everybody, go Tigers. Love to all of you. Peace and love. Be safe. Have fun. Hug your family. Love your family. Do something for someone else. Think outside of your own feelings, your own issues, or whatever's going on for 1 second and just kind of take in the world and its beauty and its majesty, and be grateful. Thank God for what is going on. Thank your family for what they do for you. Thank the people in your life you love the most for how they treat you, how they make you feel about yourself, how they've helped you become a better person. Every time we do that, I feel like we like pass around, instead of people like shooting each other and passing around death and toxicity. I feel it's like you are shooting hearts of this, like, I don't know. It's like a weird, like, good vibe telepathy that like just continues to wave and wave and wave. And it's not like you're gonna say something all nice to this person and have this great chill conversation and everyone all is in this good mood, and then he's gonna go and just go fuck you to some old woman like 2 minutes later. Like, that's not how it works. So like, the more goodwill you're going to pass around, the more it's going to come back to you, and the more it's come back to you, the more you give back. It's just going to be, um, it's just what our society needs, very much right now. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. Everybody, love to you, and go Tigers, baby.